Good afternoon, dear audience. First of all, let me register my deep appreciation of all of your presence. After lunch sessions are always very difficult. We all understand that. But hopefully, we have two eminent personalities with us who will keep you awake. I can guarantee you that. So thank you for your presence. Our session will be on evaluating the state of trade and connectivity in South Asia, Southeast Asia, East Asia, ASEAN, so in the region. And to discuss this very important issue, we have with us two very, I think, very appropriate panelists. On my right hand is our Foreign Secretary, Mr. Masud bin Momen. You all know him. He has been our Foreign Secretary since 2019, a very challenging time when he took over the responsibility, and now also steering our country's foreign policy, helping the government, navigating all the developments that are happening in the region and globally. And before that, he was also our permanent representative in UN mission. And we are very happy to have you, Foreign Secretary, with us. We have also with us a very eminent scholar, Mr. Professor Sanjay Kumar Bhardwaj is known in our circle as a prolific writer, scholar. He has written a lot on regional and sub-regional issues, which is the focus of which are focus of our discussion today. Now he's professor at Center for South Asian Studies at JNU, Jawaharlal Nehru University, where he was also, I think, you have been also heading it between 2018 and 2020, is it? Yeah. And he has also written on a number of issues, water issues, energy security, trade, investment, and his book on also, there is a book on Bangladesh, I think on the Bangladesh political identity and Indian perspective on that. So between them, I think that we will have a very lively discussion, and I hope that we will also have some time for your participation and interventions and any question that you might have. Now, the state of trade and connectivity, and I would like to also add not only trade connectivity and transport connectivity, but also investment connectivity, people-to-people connectivity in the region is so important as we go forward in the 21st century. We call it 21st century is Asian century, but if we look at Bangladesh's export, for example, only 12% of the export is in South Asia, Southeast Asia, and East Asia. So that is something that that is of importance for us in going forward, because if as Bangladesh we want to take advantage of the Asian century, I think that we need to deepen our various connectivities in the region, so that we can make best use of the comparative advantages that we have in order to translate those comparative advantages into competitive advantages and get into the regional markets of goods and services. I think that for Bangladesh, this is becoming very important. As I mentioned, I saw the data that in 2010, our exports to these three regions was 10%, now it is only 12%, which means that we are really missing out. So how we can deepen the connectivities, that is that is very important, and that is what we will look forward to hear from our two panelists. I think that a number of initiatives are being taken by Bangladesh also in the region under the line of credits. Bangladesh is undertaking a number of infrastructure projects which hopefully will deepen our connectivity with India, with the region. And also India is building the trilateral highway. We also have the Belt and Road Initiative in the region, the ASEAN multi-sectoral various initiatives in transport and connectivity. We also have the SAFTA. Obviously, we do have our own, skepticism with regard to how effective it has been. But I think that there are also potentialities over there. We are also members of BIMSTEC free trade agreement, but unfortunately the BIMSTEC FTA, which was supposed to be in both goods and services, has also not taken off. And we are still, the framework agreement was signed in 2004, and we are still discussing, and we don't have the free trade agreement. But the world is, moving forward. We also have seen in recent times the Indo-Pacific partnership agreement, where India and USA are also members. So many things are happening in our region. How we can, have a balanced policy in view of all these, and how we can translate our potential opportunities into real opportunities of trade and investment, that is very important. So various tariff barriers, non-tariff barriers, reducing the costs of transport across the border. So many reforms we have to undertake in order to, take advantage of the 21st century. At the border crossing, single window, interface of the systems, so that we have borders which are not control points, but crossing points. Various non-tariff barriers are also there. But I think that a number of, as I was mentioning, a number of major initiatives are there, and I think this is a very good moment for us to help realize those opportunities which are emerging, thanks to the various initiatives that our government is taking, Indian government is taking, the governments in the region are taking in the areas of transport connectivity and investment connectivity. Obviously will come along with transport connectivity. So my question will be to the Foreign Secretary. We know that Bangladesh, and I would like to request you to bring the Bangladesh perspective on board. How do we look at what we are now doing as we go forward, the various initiatives that the government is taking in the areas of trade connectivity, in the areas of attracting FDI to Bangladesh and also cross-border FDI flows, in the areas of trade facilitation, regional trading arrangement. So how do we assess what has been achieved, and what do you think? Where should we move at an accelerated pace, so that the initiatives that are being taken, we can take those to the logical conclusion and translate those into more exports of goods and services, and also investment flows?
Thank you, Professor Dr. Mustafizur Rahman, for moderating this session, and also for the introduction. I thank all the distinguished guests, scholars present here, and also my fellow panelists whom I knew from my Delhi days. Very good afternoon to you all. I feel privileged to be here today as a speaker at this session on evaluating the state of trade and connectivity in South and Southeast Asia. I sincerely thank the organizers for their efforts in mobilizing the resource persons to reflect on the current state of trade and connectivity in our region, which is very pertinent in the current regional discourse in South Asia and beyond. Esteemed audience, trade is one of the vital driving forces for the economy of any nation, and undoubtedly connectivity is a key to boost up trade. A well-connected region yields immense economic benefits for the greater regional integration, has already been proven in other regions. When we specifically look at the trade and connectivity mechanisms in Europe, we may draw inspiration. When we talk about connectivity, the entire prism of infrastructure development, people-to-people contacts, and subsequent economic development and its impact on the concerned region come to the fore. In this backdrop, we, as part of the government of Bangladesh, endorse the concept connectivity is productivity, and would like to mobilize public opinion through our tangible initiatives. Esteemed audience, despite commonalities in economic challenges, South Asia is least connected within the region compared to many other regions of the world. And Professor Mustafizur has already mentioned some statistics, so I don't want to go into that. Therefore, we are yet to reap the full benefits of our potentials as a region. This realization got further deepened during the past 2 years, that the entire world experienced the menace of unparalleled pandemic, which brought the global connectivity and supply chains to a virtual halt. The ongoing armed conflict in Ukraine has also substantially strengthened our realization that without a well-connected region, sustainable growth is somewhat difficult, because sustainable growth is an outcome of the combination of multiple factors, including uninterrupted movement of goods and services. Distinguished guests, as you are aware, South Asian leaders had also come to a realization that we in the region need trade liberalization mechanisms in place in a synchronized manner for our own development. Countries in South Asia had initiated and implemented the trade liberalization process with the framework of SAFTA, although there are criticism about it, but it was an early realization to have something in place. As the countries in South Asia, including Bangladesh, are on the path of graduating to middle-income country, and some of the countries have already graduated, we are in the process of concluding bilateral preferential trade agreements or free trade agreements for trade expansion and greater economic benefits. We have already concluded the PTA with Bhutan, in an advanced stage of negotiations for PTA with Sri Lanka, and discussions for PTA with Nepal are on. In the same spirit of trade liberalization and protection of export of commodities, Bangladesh is about to start negotiations on comprehensive economic partnership agreement with India. Initiatives have been taken to ink PTA with Indonesia and FTA with Singapore and Malaysia. The MOU on cooperation on trade and investment between Ministry of Commerce of Bangladesh and Ministry of Trade and Industry of Singapore was signed just last week. The MOC would enable to explore the feasibility of a free trade agreement between the two countries. We are also in discussion with Japan to conduct a joint survey or study with a view to reach either a free trade agreement or economic partnership agreement, whichever fits the case. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, to maximize our intra and extra-regional trade potential, the government of Bangladesh is also interested in the implementation of the sub-regional connectivity initiatives within the framework of Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal, or popularly known as BBIN Motor Vehicles Agreement. And three signatory countries are in an advanced stage of finalizing the this motor vehicle agreement and the passenger protocol and enabling MOU. We are also negotiating to finalize the cargo protocol early, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is going to host the next round of coordination meeting of the BBIN in Dhaka. Distinguished audience, on the other hand, ASEAN countries offer potentials to South Asia as a big export destination and diversified source of imports as well. It is also encouraging that the leaders of BIMSTEC countries signed BIMSTEC Master Plan on transport and connectivity during the 5th BIMSTEC Summit hosted by Sri Lanka. The master plan is expected to facilitate connectivity between BIMSTEC members of South Asia and Southeast Asia, which in turn would lead to greater trade facilitation among the countries of the regions. In the same spirit, Bangladesh is looking forward to the opportunity of utilizing or to be including to be included in the trilateral highway connectivity initiative being implemented through India, Myanmar, and Thailand, as was also mentioned by our moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, it is only natural or logical for us to promote and pioneer regional connectivity given our geostrategic location. Our Honorable Prime Minister at different fora offered connectivity in the form of transit and transshipment to our neighbors with a dominant goal of sustainable growth and collective prosperity of the region. The list of implemented initiatives for promoting connectivity is significant. Under the agreement on the use of the Chattogram and Mongla ports signed with India, we have already concluded 4 trial runs as provisioned in the agreement. A bridge over the river Feni in Ramgarh, Khagrachari, has been inaugurated earlier this year. The agreement, in combination with the bridge, would enable the landlocked northeastern region of India to have access to seaports, particularly in the context of full utilization of deep sea port in Matarbari. As I have already mentioned, our efforts on bilateral front for greater connectivity with the friendly countries of South Asia are remarkable. We have offered our maritime port capacity to Bhutan as well as through a bilateral instrument, and Bhutan as a landlocked country would also have access to seaports to the benefit of their transaction in trade with third countries. Bangladesh is ready to extend similar facilities to Nepal, another landlocked country in the region. Excellencies, let me mention that Bangladesh and India are enjoying connectivity facilities through inland waterways. We have this protocol on inland water transit and trade, which has not only contributed to the diversified transport mode for bilateral trade between the two countries, but also created an opportunity to expand these opportunities to Nepal and Bhutan by including them in the inland waterways routes through multimodal transport arrangements. Bangladesh and Bhutan are currently enjoying this arrangement. On the other hand, transit facilities extended to Nepal and Bhutan by India for the use of their territory to conduct respective bilateral trade with Bangladesh are facilitating bilateral trade of all these countries. Ladies and gentlemen, we have direct air connectivity with India, Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, and Maldives in South Asia, and Singapore, Malaysia, and Thailand in Southeast Asia. To introduce greater connectivity options with our neighboring island nations, we are also taking initiatives to establish direct shipping lines with Sri Lanka and Maldives, coastal shipping link with Malaysia, Indonesia, and Thailand, and MOU was just signed with Brunei on shipping services. I am repeating all these common information to drive home the point that with an intricate network among the people of South Asia and Southeast Asia, we really can develop seamless connectivity for the greater benefit of the region. Distinguished guests, the existing rail connectivity between Bangladesh and India has substantially contributed to the people-to-people contacts and trade facilitation, which is now being thought to be further extended to the extent of sub-regional connectivity, including Nepal and Bhutan in the near future. Discussions are on regarding power and energy cooperation among Bangladesh, India, Nepal, and Bhutan through existing bilateral arrangements and new regional connectivity initiatives, and with the development of suitable infrastructural investment on cross-border energy grids, etc. We need early implementation of other initiatives like the Asian Highway Project, SASEC corridors, etc. We are also carefully looking at the potentials of the Big B initiative of Japan and Belt and Road Initiative, as well as the Indo-Pacific economic framework. We are very much on track to trade facilitation and regional connectivity as we have thought out the prospects and devising the appropriate policies. However, the Rohingya crisis and the political situation in Myanmar, a country that bridge South Asia and Southeast Asia, stand as an impediment to our aspiration for greater inter-regional connectivity. We believe that an early resolution to the Rohingya crisis through their dignified return to their ancestral homes is an essential element for realizing the full potential of inter-regional trade and connectivity. For implementation of the initiatives that are underway and on the table for discussion, political understanding among the leaders will remain a necessary prerequisite. Besides, harmonization of trade policies and services, though it might sound initially difficult, but would bring effective outcomes. And finally, for our success, we need the support from Track 1.5 and Track 2.0 initiatives with effective ideas and policy inputs through research activities, seminars, workshops, and symposiums of this kind. And I believe this conversation will add to our brainstorming efforts for crafting policy decisions on regional trade and connectivity. With this, I would conclude at this point, and I thank you all. Joy Bangla.
Thank you very much, Foreign Secretary, for those remarks. Very helpful, very positive, very forward-looking. And I think that you mentioned about Bangladesh's challenges. We are going through dual graduation. One is that we have graduated from low-income country to lower middle-income country in 2015, and we will be graduating from the LDC group in 2026. Both these graduations will have important implications as we go forward. And in that context, the initiatives that you have mentioned, the government is taking, obviously with regard to the regional connectivity, BBIN motor vehicle agreement, our connectivity with East Asian countries, and also you mentioned about Japan and the Big B, Bay of Bengal integrated growth belt. So that is also becoming very, very important. You mentioned that there will be, Foreign Secretary, that the BBIN meeting will be hosted by Dhaka. But regrettably, the agreement was signed in 2015, and the standard operating protocols have also been finalized. But we are not seeing the sort of movement that is required for us, because you see, if we are graduating in 2026, we will have to make I think a very crucial transition.
We lost 2 years in COVID. We should not forget
Yes,
that.
but then still 5 years. No, what I'm telling is that once we graduate, we will have to make a transition from preference-driven competitiveness to productivity and skills-driven competitiveness. And you have rightly mentioned about connectivity is productivity. So in that context, do you see that, for example, the BBN motor vehicle agreement, the meeting that we are hosting, is there any projection in order to have it move forward at an accelerated pace? Because when it was first signed in 2015, we were really hoping that it will significantly reduce the transport cost. Exporting from Bangladesh to Nepal is 1.5 times costlier than exporting from Bangladesh to Sao Paulo, Brazil. So that's something which is unacceptable. Our exporters are suffering in terms of competitiveness. Our importers are suffering in terms of consumer welfare, raw materials cost, etc., etc. So, are you hopeful that this upcoming meeting will accelerate the pace?
We are always hopeful, and when we started this, Bhutan was very much part of this architecture, but at some point they did some practical
environmental concerns
and also infrastructural requirements or inadequacy or lack of it, and they kind of withdrew from this initiative. So while we are having a bilateral discussion with Bhutan, so that at least they are comfortable with this idea and they also join, but we didn't want to wait for Bhutan to get ready. So when the Prime Minister visited Delhi in September, this issue was raised that Bangladesh, Nepal, and India, we should go ahead. And when Bhutan feels comfortable, they can always join. So in that spirit, we are hosting this meeting.
Thank you. That's very reassuring. I think that's the way to go, because this is becoming really important with regard to maintaining our competitiveness both within region and also outside, because India has provided transit facilities to Nepal and Bhutan to use our ports, and there has also been a coastal shipping agreement as well. Now, India India's name comes very frequently in this type of discussion because India is a major player. India is also important in terms of our connectivity with East Asia. India, as the Foreign Secretary said, the trilateral highway, of which India is a major part, and Bangladesh has now requested to be included in the trilateral. So India's perspective is very, very important. India's policy of look east also includes Bangladesh in the way that it's geostrategic and geoeconomic interests are seen from New Delhi. But at the same time, of course, new developments are happening. Bangladesh is a relatively small player in the context of the what is happening in the region. For example, India didn't join the RCEP, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, which was signed, and it has 15 countries over there, but at the last moment India didn't join. But on the other hand, we are also seeing that India has joined the recently signed Indo-Pacific Economic Framework for productivity and partnership. So I would like to request Professor Bhardwaj, since you have written a lot on regional and sub-regional integration, cooperation, collaboration. So how do you look at what is happening in the region in very recent years, and where do you see India's strategy in going forward vis-a-vis the elephant in the room? Obviously, is also China. So how do you look at how it will play out? Because we are also seeing that there is a subterranean, rivalry between China and India. India is not showing a lot of interest now in the Belt and Road Initiative. Once we had a lot of interest in the Kunming to Kolkata, the BCIM economic corridor. So in that context, are you hopeful about deepening of sub-regional and regional cooperation between South Asia and East Asia and also ASEAN? Yes.
Thank you, Professor Mustafizur Rahman, the chair, and His Excellency, the Foreign Secretary. And thank you again, the Foreign Secretary has made my task very easy, bringing and raising number of issues. If I understand South Asia, the core determinants, or you can say that structural and functional aspects of South Asia. The interstates in South Asia determined by two core factors: cultural identity versus religious construct. I would say the cultural construct versus religious construct. The cultural constructs bring the South Asian neighbors closer, and the religious constructs are basically distancing us from each other. The second is, of course, the small state syndrome, the fear psychosis, because India, it is an Indo-centric region. India is a regional power in this region. And so the small state fear psychosis versus the regional power or asymmetric relations that had dominated the South Asian relations. Of course, India has three clear-cut policy objectives vis-a-vis South Asian countries. My focus would be Bangladesh more, and connecting to the first policy objective is, of course, security, the internal and external security. The second is very important, the economic development. That economic development, and India had understood that economic development cannot be achieved alone. You have to take your neighbors into your developmental boat. You have to connect, you have to bring them in the developmental boat. And of course, the third is very important. Again, India is also looking forward to have political stability and liberal democratic regimes in the neighboring countries, as we are having. Bangladesh as other countries, is part of common ecological organic system. We cannot think separately. We have to think. It is our complex interdependencies that is forcing us to think together. Apart of shared historical cultural ties, Bangladesh is the largest developmental partner of India, fastest growing economy in the region today, and of course the largest trading partner of India in the region. How India is looking Bangladesh and how Bangladesh is very important, that India has three policy options. One is that Look East policy that has been initiated in 1991. From Look East, we had transformed during the Modi period. This is Act East policy. And now we are looking forward Connect Asia policy. And in Connect Asia policy, Bangladesh has become linchpin, or you can say gateway, or you can say a bridge between connecting with Southeast Asian countries, with South Asia and Southeast Asian countries. And I think that India had started emphasizing about taking Bangladesh into the developmental fold. And number of projects that had been initiated with Southeast Asian countries, particularly I would say about Kaladan multimodal projects that is connecting with Myanmar to northeastern states, and of course the Tri-Nations road connectivity projects that. And the good thing is that Bangladesh has also shown its interest to be part of this Tri-Nations connectivity projects between India, Myanmar and Thailand, and that is going beyond Thailand to Vietnam, that connecting entire Southeast Asian countries by physical mode. What is important aspect is that, we had SARC, we had sub-regional cooperations, BIMSTEC and all that. They are moreover in principle, but could not integrate ourselves very firmly. And this is the region that we are least integrated region in the world. But what happened in 2010, a comprehensive framework of cooperation for developmental agreement was signed between the two countries, India and Bangladesh. The Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina visited India, and the Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister, and we have signed framework agreement. And I think that framework agreement has become landmark agreements for the cooperation between India and the other Southeast Asian countries. What was the aspects of that? All the bilateral initiatives and cooperations will be seen in the regional framework. And I think that BBIN, all these things are the product of or the child of that, that all the bilateral initiatives would be brought in the regional framework. Of course, we will resolve all the bilateral issues through mutual understanding and cooperation. Mutual recognition of each other's concern will be, or critical concerns will be considered. And of course, the areas or the cooperation areas of water, energy, transport, connectivity, and tourism would be taken care that can flourish the two countries' economy. And I think that landmark agreement has given a space that Bangladesh is doing wonderful, at least in South Asia or in the world. That is what the Foreign Secretary is talking, that is graduating towards the developing countries. In 2008, Bangladesh per capita income was around $300. Now today, Bangladesh is the I think that the leading country in South Asia has more than 2,100 per capita income. That's doing wonderful because of the cooperations. What India had made significant policy shift to bring particularly Bangladesh and other countries into fold. First thing, that India used to think in the sense of reciprocity, that we will have reciprocal relations with each other. That reciprocity has converted into non-reciprocity. That is the one thing, that number of significant agreements, land boundary agreements, Ganges water, what I would say, that was also signed, and other agreements were signed. The second is, of course, that what we used to think about in the bilateral framework, this bilateral framework had been transformed into multilateral framework of cooperations. Like, suppose we are talking about the water, we will not cooperate bilaterally. We will have a regional or basin-wise approach to particularly in 2010 GRC meetings that has been divided, that we will take basin-wise approach to address the water issues. The third, very important, that India used to have a unilateral approaches in dealing number of issues of making dams and all, or barrage and all that, and number of other issues. That unilateralism had been transformed into the constructive unilateralism, that we will come and we will be partner in your development and we will extend whatever we can do it. And there what happened, what we are talking, that the aspects of resource nationalism, that your energy, is your energy, my energy, and I will utilize my energy, that would not work. That resource nationalism had been transformed into the resource sharing formula. Let's Bangladesh use Indian land to go to Nepal and Bhutan, and let's Bhutan and Nepal can use Mongla port and Chittagong port, and India also can utilize Chittagong port. And that kind of resource nationalism, the principle had been adopted by the two countries. I think that framework agreement that has taken place there. And because of that, that line of credit, 4 line of credits had been extended to Bangladesh, particularly to develop infrastructures and deepening strategic partnership between the two countries, road, transport, railway, inland water, a number of agreements you can see the progress, implementation progress is also, I can see that in October 2021, there were the evaluation of the connectivity and the line of credit projects, that the first line of credit in 2010 covered 15 projects, and out of 15 projects, 12 projects had been completed, and 3 projects are very close to be in execution. The second line of credit was extended to 2015. 2 projects have been completed so far, and the other projects are into the progress. The third line of credit was extended 2017. So I'm just giving you that around $8 billion line of credit had been extended to that, and that had brought the South Asian countries there. We are thinking about border hearts, that lets the border peoples, border community can utilize the Bangladeshi goods, and the Indian community can utilize the Indian goods. Infrastructure projects, you can't imagine that in 1965 we have stopped. Today we have 5 rail connectivity projects. I want to go to Khulna, I will go by road, I can go by train, I can go by flight. Anyway, I can reach from India, from Kolkata to Agartala. The way we had started integrating ourselves. Economies has been integrated. Once India and Bangladesh will integrate, it is not India is integrated with Southeast Asian countries. Entire South Asian countries will be integrated with these countries. In fact, the last point I would like to make before you, there are 3 mindsets of people are here in South Asia, and if I would say particularly in Bangladesh, that there are one section is, I term them is the liberal sections, the progressive liberal sections. They believe in civilizational affinities. They believe in principles of coexistence. They believe they are basically progressive, democratic, cultural peoples. They believe in integrations of all that.
Thank you.
This is one set of liberal people. They are in Bangladesh, in substantially in South Asian countries also. The another, and they finds India as a friend, or in India they friends Bangladesh as a friend. The second set of people I term them, in my writing I term them as radical and conservative people, and they have parochial class interests. They are very dogmatist, they are very chauvinist, and they believe in that it is Hindu India, it is Muslim Bangladesh, it is Muslim Pakistan, it is kind of construct that they have been dominating the discourse. That is the second construct. And the third construct, I believe, is in the realist or rationalist. And I term them, the realist and rationalist are moreover the young generations. They do not believe all these issues. I'll just wind up last. They do not believe on all these. They believe they are profit maximizer. They believe in equity, fair distribution. They need a smartphone. They need a good job, good education, good health service. They do not believe you are integrated with China or you are integrated with India. Anywhere you are getting opportunities. These young generations had supported the government in 2008. The government came into power in 2008, and after 2008, you know, Bangladesh is become a role model of development for the South Asian countries. My point is there that unless until we will not have developmental approach for the development, you can't integrate yourself. Market-based approach would not help you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for.
Thank you,
Yes.
Professor Bhardwaj. I think those were very, very good and very forward-looking, I think, remarks, and I think our audience have also has also appreciated your very positive approach. And you are very right. Resource nationalism is not the way to go forward. It will have to be win-win, and we must identify those win-win solutions. Obviously, there will be problems, and we will have to find constructive solutions to those problems, obviously. And Bangladesh-India bilateral relationships, you are very right, that can be a foundation of our deeper integration with other regions. So it should be leveraged so that both of our countries can benefit from greater integration within the region. And your suggestions with regard to how the young generation, you know, their perspective, obviously, they don't have the historical, you know, burden. So they want to go forward. And I think that security in this 21st century, economic security, I think is one of the foundations of all securities. So if we can give our people economic prosperity, that will also solve a number of security concerns that we have. So thank you very much. The organizers are rushing me, but I would like to be guided. Zillur, should we conclude here? No audience participation, no questions. Okay. So I will be guided by by the organizers. We are a bit in a hurry. Our foreign secretary also has a very important meeting right now, so he will also have to leave, and the next panel will also start. So I'm very sorry as the moderator of the session that I was not able to give you any opportunity to ask our panelists. You must have some questions. I also have some questions. But let us take this message forward that this is 21st century, and this is a century of very variable geometry. So there will be bilateral relationship, there will be trilateral, there will be regional, there will be sub-regional, and we will have to make those work towards a peaceful, prosperous, inclusive development. So that is the message that I would like to take from this session. Thank you very much. Thank you.